This is Jill Pack with the Seasons of Joy podcast. This is episode number 120, entitled Love Life Forward with Tammy Schwendiman. Are you a woman of faith who is struggling to navigate your current season of life? Do you feel like life is just happening to you instead of for you? My name is Jill Pack, and I'm a certified faith-based life coach and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I want you to know that no matter your season or your circumstance, it is possible to create a more joyful life, and I would love to show you how. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the podcast. I am so glad you're here. I'm looking forward to sharing with you a conversation that I recently had with a friend and coach colleague, Tammy Schwendiman. Tammy calls herself the self-compassion coach, and she works with women to help them create more connection with themselves, with God, and others, basically learning how to love life forward. But before we get started, I wanted to remind you about my Seasons of Connection group. The next session of that is going to be starting this week on Wednesday. It's a 3-month program, and we work on creating connection in your relationships. Doesn't matter the relationship. It could be with your spouse, your adult child, your friend, your neighbor, someone in your church congregation, whoever it may be. This is a great opportunity to learn some concepts and some skills and some tools, some ways of helping you get some perspective and clarity in those relationships so that you can begin showing up as your best self, so that you can begin showing up as the person you want to be. And you will be amazed when you begin doing that, how the relationship changes. It's actually quite magical. So if you're interested, you can find the link in my show notes, or you can visit my website, seasons-coaching.com/work-with-me. It's listed there. Also on that page is a way to learn more about my one-on-one coaching, which is the season of creation. My couples coaching, you can learn more about that. All of that is on there. My free Facebook group, you can learn more about that on there. I go there live a couple of times per month in there. So I'd love to have you in any of those. I think that it's a good variety. So wherever you are in your self-awareness journey and your desire to create more joy in your life and in your relationships, any of those are a good place to start. So just again, visit my website, seasons-coaching.com/work-with-me, or just click the Work With Me tab, and we can schedule a clarity conversation. And maybe even in that conversation, we can find which is the best fit for you. So that link is also found on my website. I would love to have a conversation with you where you could get some more clarity and decide what direction is best for you. So now on to this week's episode. Welcome to the podcast. Today, I'm going to be interviewing my friend and fellow coach colleague, Tammy Schwendiman, and I am going to let her introduce herself. I've met Tammy in a few circles. I think we kind of circle back around. And so I thought, I've got to get her on my podcast. So Tammy, I'm going to let you tell people a little bit about you.
Hi, Jill. Thanks for having me on your podcast. I am a life coach, like you said, and I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. I have 3 adult children that are out of the house. I started my coaching in 2019. My journey with coaching actually goes further back. It really started in 2011. I really get clear on things. I found Byron Katie at that time and did a 7-day intensive course with her, and just slowly over the years it evolved. And in 2019, I decided I was going to make it a business for myself. So my business, I'm just in the process of changing my name on my business. I'd always gone by Tammy Schwendiman Coaching, but I am changing it to Love Life Forward. And for me, I'm just super excited about this change because it really resonates with who I am, the people I serve, and what I want to be contributing to the world.
So I want to go back a little bit. So you went to Byron Katie.
It actually was a 9-day. It was a 9-day intensive.
Oh,
It
okay.
was very intense. When I say intensive, she doesn't offer this anymore. But we woke up at 6 a.m. They fed us all the food, and it was completely sugar free. It was actually vegan and dairy free. And it was really good food all week. We gave up our makeup. We gave up caffeine. It was kind of a detox week where we just went and met ourselves. So we would meet in the morning, and we would go on a walk for 20 minutes. Then we'd do a meditation as a group. And then we would start coaching, and she would teach us concepts, and then she would coach on them. And then she would have us do an activity, and then she would coach in front of the group and teach us something else. And then we would practice the skills that she just taught us on a partner that were strangers in this room. There were about I'm going to guess 300 people there. And all of those things combined put you in a state and an experience where you're really vulnerable and meeting yourself and seeing the stories that you're stuck in. And it was a beautiful experience. I walked away just filled with so much light, so much love, and excited to move forward. And it really transformed me. Also, I thought, again, it had transformed me, meaning I got it now and can check that one off my list. And
right. Transformed. Done.
Done.
Don't we all?
Done. Yeah.
Don't we all wish it was that easy?
Yeah. Well, I was a lot younger and naive and thought it was that easy. Yeah. Then life kind of showed me that I maybe didn't have it together. I mean, at that point, we were doing video Skype coaching calls basically with each other, with people I met that lived all across the country, to kind of keep ourselves in check. And it was really useful. And then I thought I got there and I stopped doing it. And so I stopped using those skills. So life got messy. I had health challenges. I had people in my family that were struggling with different things that were hard. And I was at it felt like a crossroad in my life, and I was on a walk, and a podcast had downloaded to my phone. I didn't even know, it just auto populated. And it was from Life Coach School. It was Brooke Castillo, and the particular message that she shared really reminded me of all the things that I have learned, because they have a lot of similarities. Yeah. And brought all of that back, and I was very interested in it. Thought, I'm going to do this. And then right after that, I was ready to start pursuing coaching. So that was in 2012. And then I've had thyroid cancer twice, and that was the first time I was diagnosed with it. And so I dealt with that for some time and put it aside. And then that podcast, so I hadn't thought about that for years. That podcast came up in my feed again in 2019, same Brooke Castillo podcast. And then I started binging her podcast, and she mentioned this coach that coaches LDS women. And I was just for me, that was really important. My faith is really important. So having that connection, I then started following Jody Moore and I signed up actually for Jody's retreat. That's when I signed up.
That's when we first met.
And that's when we first met, is
yes.
19.
Yes.
So that's kind of the beginnings of my story.
Yeah, that's so cool. So it just kind of came back around when it was time, right? I think that we learn things when we need them, right? And we just
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I use the tools. I just had a more finite way of thinking about things. I was a very black and white thinker. And so, like I said, check that one off. Did that.
Yeah.
I really have come to learn that there's no end to the journey. I guess this is one of the things that I'm accepted as been aging the last few years. Like, and that's a beautiful thing. And as long as I'm breathing, I'll have an opportunity to grow and expand,
Yeah.
change, and learn. And so my set has really shifted in that area.
Yeah. I think that's pretty common for women of a certain age, right? We hit that point and our kids leave and our life changes a bit. And we think,
Yeah.
oh, well, this is what I've been preparing for my whole life. And now I don't know what comes next.
Right.
Right. Like it's a whole new place. And it's like we kind of think that progression and growth and the beautiful part of life is over. And I love the new perspective that I have, which is no, like every day is just as amazing. It's just different.
It's different.
It's different. And there, like you said, I loved how you said, like, there's never an end to learning and growing as long as we're alive on this earth. We have an opportunity to grow and become and explore and have adventures. It's actually a beautiful time. Hard.
Right.
There's hard that comes.
Yeah, I think, I in the last few years, we've even our family's been through some really tough things. My husband had a couple heart attacks, so that alone was hard. And then some other things that were difficult with adult children. And I think that, like, one of my big takeaways is that I'm finding that I am able to find more peace and comfort when things are really, really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a beautiful thing. It's like, I think for so many years, I thought it was the circumstances I was in that either created my happiness or sadness or whatever it was I was feeling, right? And learning what we've learned, it's like we can have that peace and assurance even in the midst of those challenging things.
Right.
You work with midlife women.
I do.
What do you see that what is it that you focus on? What is it that you want to help them accomplish? What do you see as their big struggle?
So originally I was coaching women on confidence, and I still think that a lot of the coaching that I end up doing is building women's confidence.
Mhm.
It's just not under the umbrella of confidence. I also have called myself a self-compassion coach, which I still think I am a self-compassion coach. And I think that is so key to having confidence, is having compassion for yourself. So one of the pitfalls that I see in our community is we are so hard on ourselves and we have such high expectations and we are doers and we're not very good receivers. So learning to be a receiver and learning to want for yourself and desiring new experiences and new opportunities, that, like, just imagining helping women to become creative. I think those are state in this stage of life, and particular to our community, I think those are things that I see.
Yeah.
Are constant struggles.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think it's anything that is, how would I say it? It's not like we're taught to to do it. It's a natural occurrence, right? It's just we want to be giving, we want to be loving, we want to be Christ-like, and we confuse that with putting ourselves last.
Yes, we
right.
do. Yes.
And that's different. Like I think that for me for a long time, like wanting certain things felt selfish. And I think it's so important to understand the difference between selfish and taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that coaching in general, the women that come to me are not have gone many years without self-care, but they're to a point in their life where they have more time and they're realizing that they really haven't taken care of themselves, and it feels really empty and lonely. And so there's almost a grief that they process, that they go through as they are unwinding this and learning new skills to help them to step into their power, to step into who they want to be and what they want to create and what kind of relationships they want to have with their adult children and their grandchildren. And we can't always control all of that, but we can always control how we show up.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think for me, personally, as I raise my kids, realize that I lived such a reactionary life. I felt that I was at the effect of my life,
Yeah.
right? And so to just get to a place where it's like, no, I get to create my life experience. Now, can I dictate every circumstance and the choices of others? No, much to my chagrin. But understanding that despite whatever the dynamics are or the circumstances of our life, joy can be there. A beautiful life can be created. And I just think that's such a powerful thing to offer women, like letting them open up to that. Like, what's possible? What is possible?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we are so limited, that I personally was so limited in my thinking, and that
Yeah.
I now see it as endless possibilities.
Yeah.
What do I want?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's part of my reason for focusing on my love life forward, is because that's, who doesn't want more love in their life, more light in their life? And we did a neighborhood thing in 2020. In 2023, I was like, there's something missing. Like I'm missing something. There's like a connection that I'm missing, and I want that again. And I started thinking about how I created that for myself in the past. And I remembered these love notes that I had sent out. And so I had some printed and I started sending them. I sent them to all my family, like my nieces and nephews and all my extended family. And there's just something really connecting when you start sharing your heart more with the people that you love. And it was creating such a good ripple effect for me that I decided I was going to do it the whole year. So this is something that I've been doing through 2024, and I love it. I'm going to keep going.
So cool. We were at a meeting together and she was telling us about this, and I just was so amazed. Like, that is such a cool thing.
It's so simple. I don't know. Are you
I
recording the video
love
for
it.
this? But it's just a little, like, it's a little postcard, and it just said love forward. And
I love that.
it's like it takes very little for me, but people don't get mail very often, like personalized mail. And so people really appreciate it.
That's
And
what I was gonna say. We live in a time where a handwritten letter is not as common.
yeah,
And so I just love that.
for me, it's part of my morning routine, and it really sets the tone for where I want to be.
Yeah, because you're looking forward,
Mhm.
right? You are looking
Forward,
forward.
and I have love, like, motivating me, and so
Yeah.
that is a very energizing
Yeah.
to come from, so
I love that so much. Okay. This has been so fun. So I would love if there's something that you would love to share with the women that are listening to this podcast. They're women like us,
yeah.
women of faith in the mid-season who are just trying to figure out how to love forward, create joy in their life. What could you offer them today that they could take and think about this
Well, I
conversation?
would say one thing, it's never too late. Another thing, change is always possible. I think that can't be said enough.
Yeah.
Then, I have a freebie that I'll give you that you can attach, and it's questions that you can ask yourself, like in a relationship, like loving a relationship forward, and what
Yeah.
that would look like.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Yeah, that'll be in the show notes. And yeah, follow Tammy. She's got some great stuff. And I love that. I love it's never too late and change is always possible. I think those are two key things to remember because it can feel like it's too late
Yeah.
because that's what we've kind of conditioned ourselves to believe that life's over at 50. And it's like, no, it's just getting
Just
started.
beginning.
It's just getting
What do
started.
I want that next chapter to look like? It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. It's really exciting. And I've thought about this recently, like the idea of enduring to the end. I think for a long time I thought it was like, you gotta like, we just gotta hang on. We gotta hang on to the end. And it's like, no, enduring is enduring well, like living well to the
Yeah.
very
When I think the word enduring, I think like misery, like
yeah, it sounds
middle of a
awful.
run and you're in pain, right?
Right.
I don't think that's
I don't think that's it. Yeah,
I don't think that's it.
I think it's living well,
I
adding
think
joy to your
living
life
well. Yeah.
and growing and just continually progressing. That's enduring to
Mhm.
me. But
I
I wanna find a different word. I don't know what it is yet, but progressing well. I don't know. Loving forward.
loving
That's what it
forward.
is. That's what it is. Alright. Any final thoughts? Anything else?
No, I think
No?
the change
Okay.
is possible and it's never too late are really my
Yeah.
takeaways.
Yeah. I love it. This has been so fun, Tammy. Thanks for being willing to come on.
No, thank you. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. So how can people find you?
And so I'm on Tammy Schwendiman coaching.com. I have a website. And like I mentioned, I am in the middle of changing my business name to Love Life Forward. So my Instagram is Love Life Forward.
Okay.
And yeah, if they have any questions, reach out.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thanks so much, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Seasons of Joy podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends and family. If you want to learn more about me or how to work with me, just visit my website, www.seasons-coaching.com, and have a joyful week.